Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Jai.
I heard a Maharaj. Yes, I see a Maharaj.
Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki jai. And Jai Shri Bhakti Bimalava Dut Maharaj nearby ki jai.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Bhakti Rakhak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat of Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Sannyasi Vrinda ki jai. Seva Vrinda ki jai. Maharaj, you begin.
And Jai Shri Bhakti Sevan Rishikesh Maharaj ki jai. He's with us and the Abhazia devotees bowing down in front of the camera. Well, Maharaj, we're a minute in, but you know, we are Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. It takes a few minutes for everyone to come together. And we have today successfully Keshavananda Prabhu in London with Tulsi Devi and with the London Bhakta Vrinda. And we see Rasamoy Pandita Devi Rasi and her mother. This all in the family. So here we are together with the extended family from Brindavan, with one room in London, one room in Chiang Mai, one room here, there, and everywhere, in Philippines, in Kharkiv, in Dnipro, Abkhazia, Italy, Israel, China, Latvia, Ireland, Audarya Leela from the east side, Kharkiv side, maybe she's in different places at different times. And India, Maharaj, from all over, devotees are coming together gradually. And Sri Lekha Devi Das is just with us too, which means others there in the Sweet Lake City Temple. Oh, sorry, Salt Lake City Temple. The Sweet Lake City Temple. And here we are in Italy, still, this Italy room. Oh, Australia, Abhinavasundar Prabhu and Kalikadambananda Devi Dasi. And Maharaj, so we're joining the whole of the world together, coming to Brindavan, our Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Matan mission in Brindavan. And in general, we gather on the outside of the temple, in the courtyard, just in front of the deities. So we are gathering as we speak. Devashish Prabhu has joined us. Tomsk Temple has joined us. And of course, not to forget, indeed, to give much stress for the valuable savor of Nityananda Das Prabhu and Sulakshana Devi Dasi doing their tireless simultaneous translation so that this reaches more and more of the world. So all is appreciated. And all right, so Marsh, yes. So we're probably going to have more join in recent days. We notice that. But in the meantime, we can begin with just a simple invocation. So let us be in Brindavan. This is where we stayed last night. So our minds, our hearts are already there. And let us be in Brindavan. And we are standing in front of our temple. And first of all, we can give a jai to our deities. Well, our deities, the deities that came to the seva, the service that Gurudev engaged in, the devotees in that service, Gurudev's service, to Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhavika Rasa Bihari Ju Ki Jai. And to Seva Kunj Ki Jai. And across the road, just directly visible right on the other side of the narrow road, the Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Memorial Building Ki Jai. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj's temple and his deity, which I believe we shall go to have darshan of very soon, in the Radha-Damodar temple, his deity of Sri Vrindavan Chandra Ki Jai. And Perhaps, Maharaj, yes, devotees are joining us. Giridhari Prabhu from Hungary has joined us, Lavanyamoy, more and more Dhananjaya Prabhu, Gauranatharaj Prabhu, Kamalini, Devirasi Muktinath, and more are joining as we speak. So let's, Maharaj, have kirtan for two, Panchatattva Mahamantra and two Hare Krishna Mahamantras anyway, just to get us started.
You can sing
and then
and play.
So,
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Garadhara Srivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So also, in keeping with our theme, remember that Chinese devotees, we began this together. Put the camera on the, you can speak something tonight. You just led the kirtan. She's my original Chinese disciple, and through her so many others have come. And really, Paramananda Prabhu envisioned this, but Leelavati's work, and Sulakshana, as you say, and Nityananda, Sulakshana is doing Chinese translation, Nityananda Das Russian, but Leelavati is actually doing this 24 hours a day on WeChat, engaging the Chinese devotees, reminding them, giving them little drops of nectar to nourish them throughout the day, even when we're not here. She sleeps for briefly. So, and from the very beginning, we went there together. So if you can say something about your experience there. Yes, with Mike.
Well, our first parikrama starts 2013, and it's my first journey to India. And I'm a traveling lover, but I never do parikrama. So I'm very excited about that. Actually, it's like more amazing than my than my thoughts. And just like we discussed these days with Yamuna, Chinese Yamuna, Nalina Chandra, and Shlakshana Sundari, like the first year group. Like we are so young, so naive at that time. Like Yamuna said, oh, we always like judge by our mind, like don't like this person, like something else. And we're fighting, we cry. And I remember everyone is crying at the first year. And I don't know what's happening to them, but it's kind of like, well, like, well.
Yeah,
and
I remember that also.
Yeah. And now we cannot say we know something or we grow up. And we still actually like a little bit just sprout, the seed just a sprout. But anyway, I'm happy to see the Chinese Bhakti Vrinda is growing, and they are really inspired to each other. And as Maharaj said, I'm the first Chinese his disciple, and I was thinking like it's half. I'm consider Nalina Nayana is our first Chinese disciple.
You were my first Chinese disciple. She is our first like group leader.
Yeah, because I didn't consider myself as Chinese or whatever. And I joined in Chiang Mai, like
Yes,
all my
that's true.
practice is in Chiang Mai, like
Yeah.
with Russian devotees.
Mhm.
So, well, if without Nalina, we don't have this sweet Chinese group.
You're the first one to come from China.
Yeah.
that's
And I don't think I can present very Chinese style. And I also am not very thinking in Chinese style.
Very
So I very appreciate Nalina coming with like her beautiful tea ceremony. And unfortunately, I cannot appreciate at the beginning, like tea, like drink in this way. But after some time, we can see like it's too much beautiful. All the Chinese, they are very sweet devotees, and they can make Goswami Maharaj very happy and heart melting. They are the best, like calf can give us this nectar. So then I realized, oh, I should serve them.
Very
And I'm happy I have this realization. So should we give to Nalina Nayan?
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.
Oh, is she here? Okay, then she can say something tomorrow.
Okay.
But I want to say something too. It's very humbly, she's saying, oh, I'm not the first, but she's saying, because actually it's interesting. She joined in Chiang Mai, it's true. And Sulakshana was also, then others came from China. But I wanted to say that, so I was very concerned about them, like my children. And so I told Madhusudan Maharaj, whatever you do, it's their first time in India, and they need to just gently, so don't send them like on the entire Govardhan parikrama, like whatever you do, please don't do that, because they just get off the plane, you know, it's a new world to them. And he's going, yes, Maharaj, yes, you know. And then I called to find out how everyone is, and they go, they're all crying. And one thing, I go, why, what happened? They go, when they got off the plane, then Madhusudan Maharaj took them on the full Govardhan parade. But that's not the only reason they're like, it was just such an intense experience for them. And then, but here's the beautiful part. So that happened on like day 2 or 3. Then we came and started more the parikrama, and they were all crying when it was time to go, because they didn't want to leave. So that was some tears in the beginning, but when it came time to leave, then everyone was crying because they didn't want to leave Vrindavan.
We take in the boat.
Yeah.
And we have our final shooting with Indulekha and all our crew.
Yeah.
And Nalina is kind of so sad, and she jumped to the Yamuna River. And we all follow her, and we are playing the Yamuna River. And I forgot totally, like you told not to take a bus in the Yamuna River.
But if you spontaneously jump in, it's okay.
And we are play, and we are white. We got in the boat. It's so dark, so cold. And that boat just in the river, like half hour, cannot reach the bank.
Oh,
and we are so cold, and the next day we all get sick. So it's kind of like we are punished by Yamuna Didi, I think.
No, well,
a little
the final
bit.
purification.
Yeah. Anyway, it's very
Very
beautiful memory, our first year.
And Madhusudan Maharaj would take everyone around to all the special places, and everyone was happy. I'm just teasing a little bit about the beginning part, just to make Maharaj blush, as it were.
Cut off my head.
So where are we now?
Well, we're standing in the front of the temple, Maharaj, and we're still in front of the temple because we were gathering. Yes, our temple, because we were gathering the devotees as they come from their rooms.
Okay.
So now, Maharaj, we've got 4 pages of devotees here with us. So we've got a good gathering of devotees. Oh, there we are, a picture of the temple there. And so more and more from around the world join together. We can say from the different rooms in the temple. So We know it takes a little while for the devotees to get out of their rooms, remember what to bring, what not to bring. So don't bring your shoes, don't bring your spectacles. In fact, if you're wearing your spectacles now, take them off, because the monkeys will get them for sure.
They show you.
Lose them, take them off voluntarily, or they will be taken off for you. And hats too. So we got to keep our hat. Take the hat off. All right. So Maharaj, I understand we'll just take a short parikrama, very short parikrama to the Radha-Damodar temple. Is that your wish, Maharaj?
Yes.
All right. So one Mahamantra and one Nitai Gaura Haribol from the Chiang Mai team.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
So Maharaj, if you like, I can just introduce. We've come in through the wall.
I want to say one thing while we're at the entrance.
Yes.
Is that, and I believe you were there, Bhakti Lalita, also, when Srila Gurudev last went, and the beautiful way in which he made his approach. Because Srila Gurudev is always very conscious of everything and every situation and the position of everyone. It may not appear so, but he's supremely conscious of everyone and what their necessity is, how to respect them, to honor them, because as he said, he calls that following my religion. Trinadapi Sunichena. What is that religion? Mahaprabhu's creed. Trinadapi Sunichena Torodapi Sahisnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtinaya Sadahari. And I even asked Maharaj once, because he sat with, Kaviraj Goswami says, take this sloka and wear it like a garland around your neck. But Gurudev sat, it was above his head, where he would sit in Calcutta, that very verse. And every day he would quote this 1, 2, 3 times. So one day I said to him, a little like naively, or I said, Maharaj, when did you have this realization? It seems like you had some special epiphany or realization about the import of this sloka, because you're so much emphasizing that. And he said, oh, Maharaj, out of desperation. He said, nothing else works. And I said, oh, so that's another way. He's saying, like, having tried everything else, then realizing this is the thing. And Guru Maharaj would sometimes put the emphasis on the last line, Kirtaniya Sadahari. If you want to go on with Hari Kirtan, or if you want to go on with Krishna consciousness, or the Krishna consciousness movement, or Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, he's saying, what do you have? You have to follow these 3 things. Amanina manadena. He said, by giving position to others, your position goes up. He said, if you prevent others, want to keep others down, then you go down. And so many things. And Gurudev saying, tolerating what is intolerable, not just tolerate, because sometimes they go, oh, I can tolerate that. Not that. He's saying, tolerating what is intolerable, that ratchets it up to another level. But on Amani Namanadena, showing that respect and honor to others. So Srila Gurudev realized he is the Acharya, Sevite Acharya, president of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. So if he goes from our mat, which is right adjacent to the Radha-Damodar, and Maharaj will explain, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj, the Radha-Damodar deities, etc., that he's going in the capacity of an acharya, not just another visitor, who are all also exalted. We respect them. So how he entered, that we know at the very entrance, before you get inside, there are many, how, so like bhikkhu means, is like Sanskrit for beggar, but it's a more beautiful word, I think, bhikkhu, tridandi bhikshu. So there are many people there. They're, in a sense, they're just living at the mercy of others. So they sit in front of the temple, they're taking Krishna Nam, or going over some divine slokas inside, and people will give them something or not. But Gurudev had something for everyone. And he made sure that his representative, his entourage, gave each and every single person there some rupees, not some coins, some rupee notes, so that every person was cared for and shown some honor and some respect. He did that with the beggars in front of Radha-Damodar temple on his entranceway. So I thought, like, how perfect that he does everything, including even right at the gate, at the door. And then, of course, everyone was happy and pleased. So he created an auspicious, pleasing atmosphere before he even entered, practically. And then Maharaj explained what you see upon entering.
Right, so Maharaj, so first of all, we come directly through this little courtyard, which comes to the gate of the actual temple Nath Mandir. And there, when we look across, we are seeing directly in front of us the deities of Radha-Damodar and other deities which are now on the altar there. So the first thing we do, the devotees all come to the front or to some space where they can find. Today, we've got plenty of space, even though we are maybe 150 devotees. We've got plenty of space, and we can give our full obeisances in front of the deities. And then by the kindness, by the good nature of the priests there, then we're generally given the opportunity to go right up to right in front of the deities and have darshan of Radha-Damodar, the deities installed with the worship by Jiva Goswami there, and of Brindavan Chandra, Radha Brindavan Chandra of Krishnadas Kaviraj, Radha Madhav of Jayadev Goswami, Radha Chayal Chikan on our far right as we look at the altar of Sri Bhurgava Goswami, and in front of them on a separate asan, but a large one on wheels, is a large size Giriraj Govardhan Shila, told to be worshipped by Sanatan Goswami with the various auspicious imprints on that Shila, including Krishna's foot, a calf's foot, the stick for herding the cows, flute, etc. So this Govardhan Shila is also there. So we come here, we give donations, and actually on the very first day, we probably should have mentioned how when we come on pilgrimage, then always we must be a giver in every temple. We are not going as a tourist, we're not going to take anything. We have an opportunity to serve the deities. So with some money, we can give a donation. If we have no money, we can do some cleaning in the temple. We'll always try to be a contributor in every temple that we go to. We'll always give more energy than we take, if you like. So that also, following Gurudev's example of giving to every beggar, but we are giving to the Lord himself. So we are giving some donation. And then from here, we'll go down the steps from the upper place where we were right in front of the deities, down the steps from the plinth, and then we'll just come, as we look at the deities, to the left. And then we go through a little doorway, and then on our right, immediately inside, we come to this small but sweet samadhis of Jiva Goswami, whose temple, the Radha-Damodar temple is, that he established, and of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who, as we know, just across the narrow road, he established at Radha Vrindavan Chandra. So there, samadhis are there. And here, we will generally chant one or two songs maybe, or one song, and then we will sit, and then we shall invite our dear Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj to say a few words here at this special place beside the actual Mandir where the samadhis are of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Jiva Goswami. So may we humbly invite you, Maharaj.
Yes. Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Sri Jiva Gopalako. And I was just going to say, when I first went to the Radha-Damodar temple in December of 1973, there was Gaur-Chan Goswami was there. And this is sort of before the grand worldwide success of ISKCON. So it's hard to believe now when you go there because there's so many, but like there would be no one there. And he would sit on a little, you know, the wooden bed with the strings that go across.
It's still there.
The cot, yeah. So that's where he would sit. And so, but what was so nice is when you'd come in and for a darshan or something, like if, say, for example, you say, can I see Krishna's footprint? You know, and he'd go, yeah, go up there. It's on the right, because he was old and, you know, didn't want to get up all the time. So he just let you go up there and like lift the cloth up and, you know, touch your head and come back down, give a little donation. But he was very generous and sweet and made you feel like totally at home. Because in some places there was a little distance created, and it seems they've carried on that same tradition of his, that generous heart approach to us. They sort of include us, and as they always come with the garlands and in a heartfelt way receive everyone. You don't think it's like a monetary exchange, but just great heart, and especially when they recognize the members of Sri Chaitanya-Saraswat Mat being adjacent. And so there, as Maharaj is saying, we see the samadhi of Srila Jiva Goswami and Krishnadas Kaviraj. And at first you can say, wow, it's so far away from Rupa Goswami's samadhi. You know, why aren't they together? Sometimes we see that in another place. And Guru Maharaj makes a point about this, is that Jiva Goswami is showing reverence for Srila Rupa Goswami. We often use this expression, Rupanuga, the Rupanuga line. The other day I mentioned the Rupanugas are also Swarupanugas, because Swarup Damodar and Lalita Sakhi. But another name is Jivanuga. We are Jivanugas, followers of Srila Jiva Goswami, and his mood of revering Srila Rupa Goswami. So he felt that area of Srila Rupa Goswami's bhajan-kutir and samadhi, that should be kept pristine and only for him. And for mine, it'll be some distance away. And then you see next to that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Because there were times when some people would sort of buy their way in, so to speak. And this pained the heart of Srila Guru Maharaj. It was just so distasteful to him. And we know where Jiva Goswami, if you look right across that, there's like 100 or more of these little pushpa-samadhis, because they realized, even they knew in the beginning, like, that's the area that's far enough. Why are they all there? Because that would be the respectful distance. But Guru Maharaj also, and Gurudev did not like that, because he said this was a monetary thing. He said, so many Sahajya gurus are there. And he said, I could not tolerate, everyone will push me about honoring Srila Guru Maharaj, and I'll be approached to, and he said, I just couldn't tolerate the idea in a row of Sahajis, then next to put Srila Guru Maharaj there. That was what was in his heart. And his approach to Vrindavan was so Uddhava-like, you know, asamaho charanarenu jishama hangsham, you know, an aspiration for the least connection. So Srila Gurudev said, you know, on the outskirts of Vrindavan, and Maharaj knows better than me, like, we'll have a little place there. That's appropriate for us, not to try and go into the central position, but in the outskirts. Right? And he acquired something. But we know this famous phone call, I like to say, like Rupa Goswami's phone call, you know, because Gurudev, his phone was not working for so many months in Navadip. And every now and then he just lifts it up, it's dead. He just picks it up every now and then to see if there's a dial tone, hang up. And then one day he picks it up and it's Krishna Bala Prabhu on the line telling him that there's land right adjacent to Srila Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Rupa Goswami, Radha-Damodar, and many want this, and many are offering tremendous sums for this, like double, triple market price. But Krishna Bala Prabhu said, but I will only deal with you. You're the only qualified person. You know, it may be a monetary transaction, but we have some standards. So you're the only person I consider fit to be this close and this near, and that means your Gurudev. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Goswami. And then you see, from the heart, when at the opening of the Koi Kali temple, I remember Gurudev saying this one line, but it stuck with me. He said, you know, he's always saying the will of Krishna or the wills of Krishna and like that. And he said, but ultimately there's the will of the devotee, and that Krishna surrenders to. It's very beautiful. We say, no, the devotees are who are surrendered to Krishna. That's correct. And on account of that abject surrender on their part, Krishna is surrendered to them. Right? So when this, and Srila Keshava Maharaj said about Srila Gurudev, back to Guru Ganai Ashisha Sambhushitam, he's got the blessings and of all of his Guru Maharaj's god brothers. Keshava Maharaj said, with all of our resources, there are things that we are unable to do. We're the senior disciples of Srila Saraswati Thakur. We have so many followers, so many resources, and there's certain things we're unable to do. He said, but Govinda Maharaj does them with his intelligence. And he said, it's as if he has this siddhi that whatever comes from his pure heart, that aspiration, it must be, it will come to pass. So, like you see, Gurudev said, he can't tolerate that Guru Maharaj will have to take seat there among that aisle of Sahajiyas across from Srila Jiva Goswami. And then what happened? Krishna Balavam, and the just adjacent and the respectful distance of Rupa Goswami Samadhi is where this pushpa-samadhi of Srila Guru Maharaj is, his murti and the beautiful deities and seva kunj and so glorious. And that's where we've just come from. And before the recent construction, when we would be with Srila Gurudev in his room or on his veranda, you'd look out his window and you could see the samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami and the bhajan-kutir from there. So that Jiva Goswami, he was young. So the other Goswamis, they're older. So he, in their advanced age, he becomes their caretaker, right? And when we would first go there, we would be, and we'll speak about this later, there's Srila Prabhupada's room, and there would be this one room, they said, oh, here's where the Goswamis used to take prasadam together. So if you just think about that for a moment, as the devotees do, imagine the 6 Goswamis come together, or 3, 4, however many are there at the time, and they're honoring prasadam together. and very sweet, loving, affectionate way. Jiva Goswami caring for them, like we think of our beloved God brothers and God sisters who take care of everyone, making their living arrangement. Like Guru, what would Guru say? Fooding, or and cleaning and all that. Jiva Goswami Prabhu is happily doing those things while protecting the wealth of Srila Rupa Goswami and the others. Different devotees have different seva. So Srila Gurudev would sometimes make the point that normally whatever you might have acquired in your life prior to connecting with Krishna consciousness, you come with that, you use that to the best of your ability. You don't culture anymore. He's saying, but in the case of Jiva Goswami, because his seva was to defend the line of Sri Rupa and the writings of Sri Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath, etc., he needed to learn more Sanskrit, at least technically. So he went to Varanasi and he studied even more. And we know, but he's so great. He writes a new book. You want to treat Harinamamrita Vyakaran? He's teaching Sanskrit just with names of Krishna. So they have a standard way they teach those things. Jiva Goswami figures out how to teach Sanskrit using names of Krishna, right? So very beautiful. But so he's the most qualified. They're all beyond, I mean, qualified is practically an insult of a word to use, but just for the sake of speech, they're super qualified, beyond qualified. They've descended from Goloka Vrindavan to mercifully bring, Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Puro Premamritam Boni Di, etc., to bring everyone in connection with this divine substance. But Rupa, writing Lalita Madhava, Vidagda Madhava, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he's so absorbed in that nectarine ocean of Bhakti Rasa, he has no time to waste on arguments or such things with others. We know a scholar came and this Digvijay Pandit, Digvijay means he's victorious in all directions. And he has a little book of signatures of people he's defeated. So he approaches Sanatan Goswami and says, I want to debate you. Sanatan Goswami is writing like Brihad Bhagavatamritam, Gopakumar. He's so absorbed in the upper world, like, no debate necessary. I'll sign. There. Go, please. Back to Brihad Bhagavatamritam. Then he approaches Rupa Goswami. He is there, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Lalita Madhava, Vidagda Madhava, Padyavali, all these beautiful slokas, and saying, I want to, no debate necessary. I'll just sign your book for you, defeated by you. They have no man, no abhiman, no ego. And we those of us endowed with Mountain Everest-like ego, they say, how is that possible? It's only possible if this world is of no value to you. The only thing you consider of value is the upper world, right? I've mentioned, pragmatists say, we should concern ourselves with whose opinion matters. For them, whose opinion matters? Rup, Sanatan, Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Radha-Damodar, Ramananda, Mahaprabhu. That's who matters. Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, Vaishnav. In the words of Guru Maharaj, everything else is trash. So if you have no interest in this world, then you have no interest in name and fame. So there's no ego, there's nothing to defend. So Rup and Sanatan, they signed that Pandit's book. Then he's thinking, things are going great here. I got Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. Who's next on the list? Let's see. Jiva Goswami. Okay, I'll go visit him. And he approaches Jiva Goswami and says, you might just want to sign because I've already got the signatures. of Sanatan and Rupa, Rup Sanatan. So do you just want to add your name to the list? And he goes, no, that's impossible. No, I've got it right here. Show me. Shows the paper, and Jiva Goswami throws that paper away. He said, now you and me. You know. And of course, Jiva Goswami annihilates that man, but in a sweet way, so that he later is corrected, rectified, and proceeds on the right line. But Guru Maharaj said, but then there's some sahajiyas. They will say, oh, look at that ego of Jiva Goswami. Kaviraj Goswami, no such ego. You know, Jagai Madhai Hoite Muise, I'm more sinful than Jagai. Such humility. But this Jiva Goswami, this scholarly ego, he couldn't tolerate. So they decry, or really they're committing aparad of Srila Jiva Goswami. But what Guru Maharaj's point is, he's saying he is willing to sacrifice his own personal prestige, that I'm a humble devotee and have no ego. He's willing to sacrifice his pratishtha, his reputation, in service to the lotus feet of Rupa and Sanatan. To maintain their prestige and dignity, he's willing to sacrifice his own, which shows his true humility. And Srila Guru Maharaj writes in one of his slokas, Sri Jiva Te Justiti. This same sort of spirit was there in Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whom Guru Maharaj would say sometimes, our Guru Maharaj, incarnation of Jiva Goswami. And just a footnote, when he says that, he means functionally, not literally, meaning he's got a similar level of unparalleled scholarship and humility, and willing to sacrifice his own reputation and maintaining the prestige of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the Rupanuga line. So, but still, in their divine play, we hear sometimes that there's Srila Saraswati Thakur. At Radha-Damodar, so you know, Rupa Goswami is there, Sanatan Goswami, other great devotees, they want to come, Balabhacharya, he wants to visit, and come see Rupa Goswami writing his beautiful, you know, Mahaprabhu said the writing of Rupa is like rows of pearls, right? Writing and looking over his shoulder, Balabhacharya saying, I think that one line there may be some flaw, you might want to adjust that word, and Rupa Goswami, oh, okay, I'll adjust it. Jiva Goswami, overhearing that, he is burning inside. He dare correct Sri Rupa. So we're told Balabhacharya, he goes to bathe in the Yamuna, and Jiva Goswami is there, like, you know, washing the pots and pans and things. And, you know, I couldn't help but overhear, you know, I think perhaps you're mistaken, Balabhacharya. He's known to be, he thinks he's got a Bhagavatam commentary better than Sridhar Swami. He's a little, what? You know, you're, what, son? What do you say? You know, he's a boy. And Jiva Goswami is saying, can I humbly suggest something to you? See, when Rupa wrote it this way, then he gives some Sanskrit technical knowledge to show how what he wrote is actually perfect. And so perfect that Balabhacharya goes, you're right. Why didn't I see that? This is amazing. So then he goes back and tells Rupa Goswami, forgive me, I spoke too soon earlier. Actually, I've come to understand that what you wrote is perfect. And Rupa Goswami, how did that happen? He goes, there's this boy down at the banks of the Yamuna, Jiva, you know, and he explained to me. And Rupa Goswami like, oh, he's thinking, calling Jiva Goswami, like, this Balabhacharya, he's senior, you know, we have to, Amani na manadin, I understand you have so much love and affection for me, but, and it's again, divine play, And Rupa Goswami said, I can't tolerate this. You have to leave my ashram. So Jiva Goswami leaves the ashram, what's the word, downtrodden. Is what will he do? Walking aimlessly in Vrindavan, and he comes upon Sanatan Goswami Prabhu and saying, Jiva, what are you doing here? I thought you were under the direct care of Rupa Goswami. He said, oh, Rupa Goswami ousted me from his ashram. Why? He explains the situation. So then Sanatan Goswami Prabhu goes to see Rupa Goswami. And what is that line? Vaishnava Seva, Nam Ruchi, Jive Doya. Yeah. So Sanatan Goswami Prabhu, who's the senior and eldest, he approaches Rupa Goswami and says, what kind of Vaishnavism are you practicing here in your ashram? And Rupa, what? And see how beautiful it is. Like if ever our ego might get poked a little bit, and the devotional, so these are the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and how sweet and marvelous is this little transactions they have with one another. Sanatan Goswami said, what kind of Vaishnavism are you, Rupa ousts Jiva, Jiva's crying, Sanatan Goswami's about to chastise Rupa, but it's all sweet, like Gurma said, like nectar biting. There's some biting, but it's nectar biting. And Rupa like, why do you say that? Well, there's, Vaishnava Seva, Namaruchi, Jive Doya. And he said, aren't you supposed to be merciful to the jivas? And Rupa like, yes. That's why I'm writing these books. Yeah, but there is this one jiva nearby, he's crying, and you're not being merciful to him. Then we're, oh, yes, all right. Then he can come back. Like when Guru Maharaj ousted Babaji Maharaj from Chaitanya-Charitamrita Math, and someone met him in Mayapur. Babaji Maharaj, what happened? Sridhar Maharaj ousted me from his ashram. What? Why has Sridhar Maharaj done that? Well, I was visiting these Sahajiya Kirtans, and Sridhar Maharaj cannot tolerate that and said, I cannot stay in his ashram and do the same. And then that Bandari from Gauriya, he said, Sridhar Maharaj has done right. He should oust you from his ashram. Then later, Gurudev and Guru Maharaj are together, and they hear the unmistakable voice, coming down the road, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, coming down the road, Babaji Maharaj, and then they can hear him making his way toward Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, and then Gurudev brings him upstairs, the Guru Maharaj, and he said, you've been ousted from this ashram. And Babaji Maharaj said, that is true. You said I had to leave the ashram, but you didn't say that I couldn't come back. And Gurudev and Guru Maharaj go, that is true. Right? So then they allow him back into their fold. So Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu and Guru Maharaj's pranam, and he says, Sri Gauranamatams Rupa Viditam Rupa Agrajain Adritam Rupa Dye Paribeshitam Raghu Gunai Aswaditam Sevitam Jiva Dye Abhirakshitam Jiva, etc. Et al. They are what Abhirakshitam. Rakkak, like Guru Maharaj's name, guardian, protector. He's the guardian, the protector of the Sampradaya. That's how he's using his scholarship. It's not that he is off on some kind of an academic tangent, right? He's supplying the Shastric evidence and support for the position of Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami Prabhu, Raghunath Das Goswami, and the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And next to him, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And as we're told, Guru Maharaj said, the author of Sri Chaitanya-charitamrita, the greatest literature to have ever seen the light of day in all time, all space, and all creations. And we mentioned the other day, Jai, Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Sri Jiva Gopalako, that in Radha Kunda, through Raghunath Das Goswami Prabhu, all the notes of Sri Radha-Damodar and of Das Goswami. This is the complete record, although it's infinite, of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that reveal the internal reason for his descent in this world. What was not expressed in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat of Vrindavan Das Thakur is there in Charitamritam, and it was through Raghunath Das Goswami, that this was all bestowed upon Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu, who, and I just like to say this because we mentioned something extensively the other day with regard to his glories, but you will see in Chaitanya-charitamrita him quoting the verses of Sri Damodar, verses of Rupa Goswami, and the superstructure upon which Chaitanya-charitamrita is built. And then verses from Raghunath Das Goswami, particularly his Govardhan prayers. But sometimes, as you go deeper and deeper, particularly the Antya Lila, he will quote some inconceivably beautiful verse by Srila Rupa Goswami. And you read that and you just kind of think like, can there be anything more wonderful than this? We should never forget that in this Chaitanya-charitamrita, there are books that we're told by our Guru Varga, meaning Srila Saraswati Thakur, Gurus, and the line, like not to go into the details. We know they are there, but we're told not to try and go into the detailed studies of these scriptures. They're for the advanced students. We, as Guru Maharaj said, we shall forever be students. He said that at 92, I am forever a student and I shall always be a student. He said, being a student, you can make mistakes, you can be corrected, and it's a dynamic position, you can advance. He said, do not try to become a finished professor knowing anything and everything. So that study, so he's saying, why? Because I said once, if these books are forbidden for us by Srila Saraswati Thakur, his disciples, I said, you're his disciple, and Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj, he's another one. So if the two of you cannot read them, go into the details, then who can read them? You know, for whom were they intended? And Srila Guru Maharaj said, in a very nice, he said, you should not adopt an atheistic position. I was like, oh, you know. And what he meant was, because what does that mean? It sounds very harsh, but it was like nectar biting, you know, it was a sweet sting. He's saying, like, meaning like this life is all in all. If I don't get access to in this life, it's forever out of reach. What are you saying? So when you say, for the more advanced students, you mean in Raga Bhakti, there's course literature for the Raga Bhaktas also, right? So the more advanced students. But that said, the beauty of Sri Chaitanya-charitamrita, so privately we're told Mahaprabhu, what he's doing behind closed doors, in Charitamritam, Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving some Krishna Karnamritam, some Gita Govinda, some Jagannath Ballabha Natak, and Kaviraj Goswami is giving in the Charitamritam some Ujjvala Nilamani, some Lalita Madhava, Vidagdha Madhava, and just the perfect slokas from those books that prime you and infuse you and qualify you in the future to enter them. And he's extracted these. That is the point. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who's, you know, Kosturi Manjari, is saying, oh, from Ujjvala Nilamani, I'm giving this one and that one. Just the right one, not the one that you would be likely to misinterpret or impose some sort of mundane a mundane imposition. He gives just the perfect one to sort of give a taste of that. And so you'll see, so beautiful, and think, can there be anything more beautiful than this? And then you read the next sloka, and you go, oh, this is very similar to the one we just heard from Rupa Goswami, but it has its own peculiar sweetness. And then you look in the purport, and it will say, Govinda Lilamritam, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So as he wrote Chaitanya-charitamrita, he wrote another book called the Govinda Lilamritam, which again is one of those books we're not to go into the details of, but he himself, the author, he's selected these particular ones, and they complement the slokas that he's taken from the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami, and it's utterly beautiful. And as similar to what Veda Vyas himself says in the Bhagavatam, Sarva Vedantam Saram Hi Srimad Bhagavatam Isyate Tad Rasamrita Triptasya Nanyatra Rati Kvachit. He's saying, once you taste this substance, the substance of this literature, you will lose all taste for any other literature. And Srila Guru Maharaj, although it's not in his hidden treasure, it could be inserted because it comes from him. And the famous Gita sloka, Raso Varjam Raso Pyasya Paramdisva Nivartate, which is generally rendered as, once you've had a soup, the higher taste automatically. Well, there can be a deep, the hidden treasure of that sloka, you could say. Guru Maharaj says, once you've had a taste of Gaur Leela, Krishna Leela through Gaur Leela, then you lose your taste for anything else. This is that higher thing. As we said, Krishna is inconceivably beautiful. Yang Shama Sundaram Achintaguna Swarupam, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. How can you improve on the infinite, inconceivable beauty of Krishna? Right? Well, then we have this better half of the sweet absolute, Srimati Radharani. She has innumerable good qualities, of which 25 particularly are outlined by Das Goswami, Ramananda Sambat, etc. So we think, as inconceivably beautiful and attractive as Krishna, he's irresistibly drawn to her beauty and sweetness. So if to combine the two of them as one, it's too much, it's inconceivable. But that is the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given in the Sri Chaitanya-charitamrita. That's where it becomes clear who Mahaprabhu is. As he says to Ramananda, I cannot hide myself, I cannot conceal myself from your loving eye, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. And in the Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami likes to quote Rupa Goswami saying, his Chaitanyastakam, that, what is that? Namodula Tanur Jati Nama Tangsis Tarani Vidyoti Kama. What is it? This first line. Anyway, he's saying, if 10 million cupids could be condensed in Kamar Buddha, that's it. Rasa Damojula, Madhur Damojula, that the beauty and sweetness of Krishna, Kamar Buddha, is like 10 million cupids combined as one. And that so intense is the radiance of the heart, enveloped by the heart of Srimati Radharani, that it's turned the saffron cloth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glowing. Yeah, Kamar Buddha Rasa Damojula Tanur. So he says that. Then Srila Guru Maharaj, Babaji Maharaj would say that Guru Maharaj's writings remind him of Srila Rupa Goswami. And he says, Koti kami murti tangri rupa rasa rangaram prema dama deva meva nome gora sundaram. That 10 million cupids will faint to see the beauty of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he's Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanya, none other than the divine combination of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, Rasa Raj Krishna and Mahabhav Srupini Radha Thakurani. And all of these things are described in great detail and depth and unparalleled beauty and sweetness and the Sri Chaitanya-charitamrita of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. As we proceed, Maharaj, to the...
Yes, indeed. Maharaj just will give our obeisances to the samadhis of Jiva Goswami and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And then as we get up, as we're facing the samadhis, if we just turn left and look up, there we'll see loud and clear, not loud and clear, beautiful and clear, our own Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math and Mission. There we see the temple right there, and we can see Gurudev's room and the ashram building just to the right of the temple. So right there, we see just across the wall is the temple. And that picture, oh, this is Gurudev's room, the middle floor. And okay, now we're going to go around and we'll just pass by the well, which has been there, they're told, from the time of Jiva Goswami, the well that was used for the water, for their drinking water, etc., for all of the Goswamis and sadhus who came to the Radha-Damodar temple. And as a footnote, right beside that well, just on the other side of the wall, is our well, where we get the water for the bathing, etc., in our ashram. So everybody who's bathing there is taking very special water in our ashram. We need to remind ourselves that everything is special in the Dham. And then Maharaj will just do parikrama, and means we just follow behind the temple, keeping the temple on the right. There's now a goshala, a small goshala on the left, and the cows always very sweet, and the smell, they're looked after very nice. The fragrance, from the cows, always very wonderful. And then come down the little slope, and then on our right side, we're coming around the, first of all, bhajan-kutir of Srila Rupa Goswami. So generally we come around the bhajan-kutir and then come between, so that now we're facing the other way. On our right is the bhajan-kutir. On our left is the Samadhi Mandir of Srila Rupa Goswami. So now this is like a private courtyard with just reserved for Rupa Goswami, and one other, there is a probably pushpa-samadhi of Bhurgava Goswami.
Bhugarba.
Bhurgava Goswami.
Bhugarba.
Bhurgarva, okay, Marsh.
Right?
Yes.
Because Bhu means earth and Garba, I mean, it's another story, but Bhugarba,
okay. Bhugarva Goswami, I'll get the right critic. Only that samadhi is anywhere nearby. It's not close, but it is in one corner of there. And he was a dear friend, we're told, of the 6 Goswamis, including, of course, Sanatan Goswami. And so Maharaj will come here, we'll give our obeisances between the Samadhi Mandir and the Bhajan Kutir of Srila Rupa Goswami, and already the mats are laid down. Let us be seated, and Maharaj again humbly coming to you so that we may hear as you wish to elucidate for us here at this very special place.
Hare Krishna. At the end of the Mukta Charit of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, he has this prayer, and Srila Guru Maharaj like to chant, very simple, but very sweet. He says, Adadana strinam dantair, idam jache puna puna, Srimad Rupa Padamboja, Duli Sham Janma Janmani. Birth after birth, my aspiration is to be the dust of at the holy lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami. And Bande Rupa Sanatano Raguyago Srijivago Palako. In one sense, we could say everything we say is a glorification of Rupa Goswami. As we told, after hearing Guru Maharaj's explanation of Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, it was just so emphatic and so intense about that everything is located at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa. That is the, and then the Mat Pranam of Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, the third line, Sri Rupanuga Kritimati Guru Gauranga Radha Jitasha. Like that. So Rupanugas and Rupanuga Dara carrying the current of Rupa Goswami Srila Guru Maharaj. And so we've heard that when Mahaprabhu, because how did this come about, this the Rupanuga line? Because so many are qualified. We were talking about this the other day. Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, and look, the 6 Goswamis, they're all qualified. And sometimes Srila Gurudev would specifically point out Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, that after Rupa was indicated, that Prabodhananda went a little bit into to stay in the background. And we will reach his samadhi or bhajan-kutir later on the parikrama. But just to say, like Gurudev would say, he's equally qualified. And you see in the Radha Rasa Shuddhanidhi, Chaitanya-charitamrita, all those beautiful slokas. But in the upper world, these Astasaki Tunga Vidya, so one of the 8. But Rupa Goswami is the leader, as I like the way Guru Maharaj puts it, the juniors, the Manjari assistants. So as the leader of the juniors and Mahaprabhu's, it's significant that he's wants to, how do you say, confer his line upon Rupa Goswami. Just in one sense, you can say everyone knows, but like to make it official, you could say. And he's introducing him because Rupa Goswami is also shy and in the background. And there's Mahaprabhu, Sri Radha-Damodar, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Haridas Thakur, these major super servitors and, avatars beyond, right? If you think about it, Krishna, Balaram, Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Sri Radha, etc. And Ramananda as well wants to bring Rupa Goswami to the fore. And so to, and say, push it in such a way as that Rupa cannot decline. They're saying, oh, Rupa's written some wonderful book, this divided into Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava, and in any book you have to have some a special prayer in the beginning and identify who's your Ishta Devata. So in one instance they're saying, Mahaprabhu is asking innocently, oh, well, who is your Ishta Devata? Your worshipable deity, like who is this book an offering to, or, and they're pushing, and Rupa Goswami is saying, Anarpita charim chirat korna avatirna kalo samaparitam unatodrilam rasam swabhakti sriyam hari purata sundar duty kadamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spuratu ba sachinandana. He's saying, you are. And Mahaprabhu, all right, other slokas, let's not deal with it. Mahaprabhu does not like to, remember, he's in the mood of a devotee, because we think, why not come out with it? Advaita will say that. Come on, we know who you are. I know who you are. Why are you trying to hide it from everyone? Then you could say, he's the Chana avatar. Like Mahaprabhu, because he's in the mood of a devotee, he doesn't like to be reminded of his divinity. That's why it's awkward for him. But of course the devotees know fully well who he is. And it's a sweet way of embarrassing him. Like sometimes people who love each other very much embarrass one another in a sweet way. So they're like, they cannot not say these things. You say, Rupa, say something. They cannot not, like when Advaita, if he says, I've got you now, when he's got him at his house, and he starts singing this song from Vidyapati that was sung by Radharani, saying, when she finally gets Krishna back. That's the song Advaita Acharya sings in Shantipur when Mahaprabhu comes to his house. And he's saying like, I've got you now. You're never going to, you're mine. I'm keeping you here. And Mahaprabhu allows that for a few days before he continues on to Puri. So Rupa Goswami clearly saying, and what are you, you are Sachinandana. Gurudev liked that. He said in Garga Sangita, the mighty Veda Vyas, how is he glorified in the beginning of that? Saying, son of the fisher girl. And Gurudev said, I like that very much. That approach, that means intimacy. If you give the big royal title, that's appropriate and fine. But when you'll see Sachinandan, he didn't say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He says that too elsewhere. But in this verse, at the very end, and who is it? Sachinandana, the son of Mother Sachi. Well, who's that? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit. It's a beautiful way. That is their preferred way to infer who that is. It's a very sweet and beautiful, loving way. So, and saying, and what has he done? He's done what no other incarnation, avatar has done previously. Well, wait a minute. They're coming all the time. There is innumerable as the waves of the ocean, according to the Bhagavatam. Don't they all do more or less the same thing, right? Taking us toward the Krishna world, or, well, they have different pastimes, it's more generally the same, but, and doesn't Mahaprabhu appear in every Kali Yuga? So why is he saying he's giving what's never been given before? Isn't it given quite regularly, you know, once a yuga cycle? And saying, no. Once in a day of Brahma, does Swayam Bhagavan Krishna come. Krishna at the right hand of Radharani, the original, like the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. You got the Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna at the right hand of Radharani in Radha Kunda, the highest expression. Once in a day of Brahma, that Krishna comes to the world. And in the Kali Yuga that follows, then Gauranga Mahaprabhu. All the Mahaprabhus are not Gauranga. Guru Maharaj said some of them are the color of a parrot. We saw some beautiful pictures of the parrots at our Sevakunj Mat the other day on the slideshow. Showed their tails fanned out, or maybe on WeChat for the Chinese, you showed those pictures of the green parrots. Very beautiful. Because sometimes you think like, oh, they're not colorful like those parrots in Brazil or something. And I've got nothing against the parrots in Brazil. Love them. And the parrots of Venezuela. I love those parrots. And I've had them on my shoulder and finger and everything. But then I thought that these green parrots, there's just something really subtly beautiful about them. They're green, and then the two of them together, as you see. So Guru Maharaj said, some Kali Yugas, Gauranga is the color of a parrot. Right? And so anyway, but this Mahaprabhu is Gauranga, Mahaprabhu. This is Gauranga, Mahaprabhu Gauranga Sundar. As Prabodhananda Saraswati says, Mahaprabhu Gauranga Sundara Nagarabhara, Nityam Nijar Nam Abhi. right? Guru Rupa Harim Gauram Radha Ruchi Ruchavritam. Radha Ruchi Ruchavritam, the very beautiful, written by Guru Maharaj, beginning of Prapana Jivanamritam. He's got the beauty of Radharani, and he's on account of tasting what she's tasting. The heart of Radharani, right? Radha Bhava Duti Subolita, enveloped by the heart of Radharani and the radiance, as Gurudev said, Radharani is a lighthouse of Krishna Prem. And that radiance from the heart of Srimati Radharani has turned Shyama Sundar, Krishna, into Gauranga Sundar, the radiance, the halo. So Rupa Goswami saying, and he's giving what's never been given before. What is that? As Guru Maharaj told, if he is the Mahavananaya avatar, as Rupa Goswami says, Namo Mahavananaya Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurachase Nama. Then what is the conception of the greatest magnanimity? That the highest thing, not just a high thing given to the low, but the highest thing of which there's nothing higher, given to the lowest, of whom there's nothing lower. Right? Hare Krishna, there's hope for us. As Gurudev would say, two things we know for sure, that we are fallen and that Krishna is merciful to the fallen. So we have some hope, some prospect. But here, think about this. What does Krishna estimate to be the most valuable thing? We'll say, well, Krishna Prem, apparently. Yes, but as Guru Maharaj says, there's gradation everywhere and everything. Then what type of Krishna Prem? If we were to go into gradation, back to Rupa Goswami, Chaitanyastakam, aparam kasyapi pranayi janambrindasya kutuki, rasotstamam hritva madaram upabhoktam kamapiya, rucham swam avavre dutim iha tadyam sat chaitanya devaskritir atitaram na kripayatu. He's saying, serving at the Rasa Lila, all of these gopis, there are various descriptions. Sometimes it says there are a billion, sometimes a trillion, right? And we hear, and this in full swing, Ananda Chinmaya, and they're all unique and inconceivably beautiful. Like no two of them are identical. Right? Each one has their own beauty, their own dress, and all chinmoy. Right? Their clothes are chinmoy. Their bangles are chintamani gems. It's inconceivable. And we're told that Vishaka Saki singing and dancing so nicely, surpassing everything up to that point. Then Lalita Saki surpassing her and singing and dancing. And then who? Gandharvika. And I said, why Guru Maharaj is telling Gandharva Govinda Sundar and Gandharvika Giridhari from Saraswati Thakur? What does that mean? That means Radharani, Guru Maharaj, that she's singing and dancing to keep Krishna captured, right? To hold his attention. So we cannot even conceive of the beauty of the singing and dancing of Srimati Radharani. But we can just understand in theory how beautiful that must be. So we're told, then she sings and dances in such a way, unparalleled, that just astonishes everyone, Krishna included, but that she leaves in a huff, like, oh, I'm one of the group, the billion or the trillion or the 8 or 108, and she leaves in a huff. Right? And then Krishna, think of this, there's a trillion inconceivably beautiful Braja Gopis, and suddenly he says, what happened? The same flow of rasa, taste, and it's not there anymore. What happened? Absent one. Guru Maharaj says, quality gives us relief from mathematics. So there we see. Normally we'll think, a trillion minus one, isn't that more or less a trillion? A trillion minus one? But this is to show the shorthand, how qualified she is. Absent this one, then it cancels a trillion of the other most inconceivably qualified servitors. And Krishna leaves, and we're told, Radha Madaya Hridaye Chatyaja Braja Sundari, that he leaves the rasa dance and goes to search for her, right? So that's what Rupa Goswami puts it in a verse. Aparam Kasyapi Prani Janam Vrindasya Kutuki. That this one aroused in him the curiosity that he's thinking, what does she find in me that's so attractive and irresistibly attractive to her? What is it like to be her, right? And this is what Chaitanya-charitamrita is about. And to establish this, Rupa Goswami, Kaviraj Goswami is quoting Srila Rupa Goswami. And he's saying, and that kotuki means curiosity. It awakens this curiosity in Krishna and he thinks, as Krishna, I can only theoretically understand this, but to taste and experience what she is tasting, I would have to become her. And what is the essence of her? Her heart. So he says, because when Guru Maharaj would say, he plundered her heart, the remainder is Gadadhar. Gadadhar is a facsimile, or sometimes he would say, a carcass, like, I mean, whoo, he would shudder. But Guru Maharaj is saying, like that, he's plundering like she will not give this easily, right? And I thought, what if someone says to me, well, you're always saying that, and quoting Srila Sridhar Maharaj, but where does it say that other than Srila Sridhar Maharaj? So I thought I have to be prepared to defend the position of Srila Guru Maharaj at any time. So I'm reading this, and it says, Ritva Madhuram Upabhoktam Kamaviya. Right here in Rupa Goswami says, he stole. That's the word he's used. Doesn't say borrow, loan, it doesn't use that. It says stole. And Guru said plundered. She's not giving it easily. But once it's been done, what does Guru Maharaj say in the Saraswat Arati song? The line, Manda Suhasa, that he's saying, seeing that Shama Sundar Krishna is now enveloped in her heart and has been transformed into Gauranga, that Radharani is looking and seeing this new, marvelous, inconceivably beautiful Krishna, who's now Gauranga. How can that be? It's like impossible. But Krishna, now he's showing himself in a new way, enveloped in her heart. He's become Gauranga. And what does Guru Maharaj say in the song? That Radharani, she smiles a little bit. It's like the original Mona Lisa smile. They're all fascinated by that. Guru Maharaj is fascinated by the smile of Radharani, this gentle smile where she's saying, oh, how beautiful he looks, in this way. Dressed, enveloped in her heart and halo. So she's at first reluctant, but then also happy. But as Gadadhar Pandit, assisting Mahaprabhu and plunging the depths of Radha Bhav. So Srila Rupa Goswami, he gives that slogan, saying, so what does he come that's never been given? What is that most valuable type of Krishna Prem? It is Mahabhav. That's what Mahaprabhu thinks is the most valuable thing. And although it's beyond the constitutional capacity of Jiva souls to experience that, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in this line, Guru said, out of gratitude to the servitors, she is extending the taste and saying, here, have a taste of what we're tasting. So we tell, like in that word, we say, Madhavendra Puri. No, Madhavendra Puri is tasting this or relishing this verse. Mahaprabhu and what I say, Srimati Radharani comes from her originally, then appeared from Madhavendra Puri at the time of leaving the world, and Mahaprabhu, and there's not a fourth man. But there's the Rupa Nuga line from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You understand? That's the third. That qualifies in the third part. Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami and this line. And he's extending that taste to this group. And Guru Maharaj said, once you've had a taste of this divine substance, he said, what to speak of all other taste? All other rasas become tasteless. So Rupa Goswami is saying, he's giving what was never given before. Meaning in all those other Kali Yugas, he gave Nam Sankirtan and was distributing Krishna consciousness. You can even say Krishna praying, but not like this. So anyway, all of that. And then Mahaprabhu was saying, another sloka? You know. And so then perhaps Ramananda, or I believe it says, Rupa, tell that sloka that you've written, and remember Haridas Thakur was there saying, about the holy name, upon hearing which everybody becomes happy. The whole world, 3 worlds and beyond rejoices. And they have to push Rupa Goswami to the front. And he said, and remember, Haridas Thakur is there, and all the other experts, they know, they've heard every sloka there is about the glories of the holy name of Krishna. And they regularly recite them and relish them. Right? But when they hear this sloka from Rupa Goswami and and Haridas Thakur say, this is the best. Oh, this is so beautiful. And what do you say? Tunde tandavini ritim batanute tundavale labdiye karna kroda kadambini gatayate karnar bhutebhya spriham cheta prangini sarvendriyanam kritim yojane amrite krishneti varnadvayi. Where in his play, so he's taking one of the verses from the play, and it's perhaps Madhu Mangal, or is it Purnamasi? There are 2 devotees going in Vrindavan and saying like, I do not know how much nectar there are in the 2 syllables, Krishna. That's what they're like going, like we're going in Vrindavan. And the 2 turn to each other like, I don't know how much nectar there are in just Krishna, these 2 syllables. Right? And what did the heart feeling expressed there? Because Guru Maharaj says, real Krishna Nam comes from the heart outward, not from the lips inward, right? From the heart outward. So he says, Tunde tandavini ritim bitanute tundavale. Tund means tundavale. Karna kroda katambini gataya. So he said, how much nectar there is? He's saying, when the tongue tastes the sweetness of the holy name of Krishna, 1 tongue is insufficient. The heart spontaneously, automatically desires to have millions of tongues. And 1 tongue's not enough to taste all of this nectar. I need millions of tongues. Where is anything like that expressed? And he said, and when the ears hear the sweet sound, how sweet is that sound of the real name of Krishna? We're telling the voltage of Krishna Nam, of Srimati Radharani. He said, then 2 ears are insufficient, like they're containers, receptacles trying to capture the nectar. Saying 2 ears are insufficient. My heart expresses the aspiration to have millions of ears, 10 million ears to capture all of that nectar. That's 1 sloka. So here's One sloka in the beginning from Rupa Goswami about his Ishtadevata Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and what is his gift he's given that's never been given before, used by Kaviraj Goswami at the very beginning of the introduction to Sri Chaitanya-charitamrita. And another verse he selects about the holy name of Krishna. And just saying this way he's actually covered the two things. The Nam Sankirtan, but he's taken Nam Sankirtan to a new level. When Guru Maharaj said, what is the Nam Sankirtan, the Sankirtan party of Mahaprabhu? The Rasa Leela in distribution mode. It's like they're recruiting for Rasa Leela. So that sloka from Rupa Goswami, that gives us a taste of the sweetness and the unparalleled substance and the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami. And here at Sri Radha-Damodar temple, where we come to appreciate that. And I think, Madhusudan Maharaj?
Yes, Maharaj.
We will pick up here tomorrow. I think for today, that's sufficient.
Maharaj, this is completely fine, and we're not limited by time or place. Wonderfully.
I like that.
We have a special freedom for this year's parikram, Maharaj.
Yes. Right. Like, you're right. We're not limited by time or space. That's a whole other subject matter. Right.
For another occasion.
Yes.
But applicable to this occasion.
Right. Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj, would you like to do bhajan here, or would you like to just come back to the temple with Hare Krishna and Hari Haraya Nama Krishna, as you wish?
I think Hari Haraya Nama Krishna we'll sing.
All
Hari
right.
Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Say then. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Srivasari Gauravakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath. Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raghunath. Jai Go Jai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jaha Hoite Vignanas Abhista Puran. Jai Go Jai Jar Munita Odas. Kankavara Padarenu Mora Panchagras. Kandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas. Janame Mori Abilan. Jai Go Jai Jabe Braje Koilovas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. O Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Sri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Sri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan. Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Narottamadan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo. Jai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gaur Hari Bo. Hare Krishna, Nitai Go Haribol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribraja Kacharya Satara Sata Sri Srimad Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Shri Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Radha-Damodar Jiva Ki Jai. Sri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Go Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopnath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sevakunj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Sri Gupta Govardhan Ki Jai. Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Vishva Varenya Srilesi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Brinda Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Kusum Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Vijay Trivikram Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadut Maharaj Ki Jai. Sriman Paramananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Sri Keshvananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Munendra Mohan Prabhu Ki Jai. Krishna Kanta Didi Ki Jai. Devashish Prabhu Ki Jai. Seva Vrinda Ki Jai. Sannyasi Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Hrishikesh Maharaj Ki Jai. Mahavir Maharaj Ki Jai. Sannyasi Vrinda Ki Jai. Seva Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Braja Mandal Parikrama Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Jai Shri Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaja Ki Jai.
And yesterday I forgot to say the Tirobab Mahamahotsav Tithi of Sripad Bhakti Bichar Jajabar Maharaj Ki Jai. We'll say something about him tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Yes,
Maharaj,
Maharaj.
very beautiful. So all the devotees, they're fit and well. And now we'll just return to our temple next door. Oh, this is a picture taken from either Gurudev's room or above Gurudev's room, and of the bhajan-kutir on the left, the samadhi on the right of Srila Rupa Goswami, before the extra construction was made recently. Jai Shri Rupa Goswami Ki Jai, Sri Radha-Damodar Mandir Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So to be continued.
Jai Devashish Prabhu Ki Jai. Dhanyavad. Hare Krishna.
Vancha Kaupatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
And we see This is Harimati. You see, in their car, moving. Nityananda Das doing the Russian translation.
Hand on the wheels, Vrindavan Chandra.
Jai, Nalina Nayana, we were looking to call you earlier. Be ready tomorrow night, okay? Yes? All right. Iravati, Dandavat, Prem Narayan Prabhu, and the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, West London branch. Dandavat to everyone there. Sachi Devi, Hare Krishna, and others, and Jai Keshananda Prabhu. Is that Lavanga in the back? I can't see with the imagery. I will assume so. Hare Krishna. Indumukhi, Dandavat. Suchitra, Dandavat. Odarja Leela. Hare Krishna. Jadu Gopal. Subhashini Didi. Bir Chandra Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Bhakti Seva and Rishikesh Maharaj and all the Abhazya devotees there. Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Gokula Tarani may be there as well. Oh, and there's Yashodanandan Prabhu. Dandavat. Ishwari Didi. Dandavat. Govinda Nandini. Hare Krishna. Ajita Krishna Prabhu. Okay, Rasananda Prabhu. Malini. Jai Kumar, he's the doctor that they referred to, right?
Yes, yes.
Wasn't he the doctor that they... And a Lalit Tunga Vidya, Dhananjayanas, Ragalekadidi, Krishna Mohini, Narayani, Muktinath Prabhu, Dandavat, Kamalini, Hare Krishna.
But the iPad is Gavin.
Where? Gavin? All right, Leela Sundar Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Jai Kumar and Dina Dayal. This is Dina Dayalu. Hare Krishna. And Charulata. Hare Krishna. Vijayanti and Janava. Hare Krishna. And the Janvi Devi, Maheshri Devi, Sandeep Krishna Prabhu. They're there at Sukartal, just outside of Delhi. Greater Sukartal. I kid you, Noida. Abhinavasundar and Kali Kadambana. Kadambanana. Hare Krishna. Ananda Swarup. Suresh Krishna Prabhu. Hare Dayavati, Chandrakanti, Hare Krishna.
That's Sushmita's school teacher.
Dandavat to Sushmita's teacher and Susmita, Dandavat. And Supriya, what happened? Why does that happen? Hare Krishna. Gallery. Jai Supriya. Hare Krishna. Vinod Bihari Prabhu, Dandavat. Dhananjay and Chaitanya Mai, Dhananjay Prabhu, Dandavat. Vijay Krishna Prabhu. Or should we say, Bijoy? If we're in Bengal, we'd say, Bijoy. Hare Krishna. Sri Lekha Didi, Dandavat. Ravindra Krishna Prabhu, Shama Balaba, Dandavat. Yes, yes. Oh.
She sent us a new piece of the movie.
Good. We'll have to show that. Nityananda Ram Prabhu in Colombia, Dandavat Prabhu. All of you, again, remember, you're the petals of the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Lotus. Guru Maharaj would tell us that, there's designated preachers, but every disciple has the tacit understanding that whatever wealth has been given to you freely, you're supposed to freely extend that to others. Right? Every disciple, not just the so-called designated preachers, all of us. And we'll say, well, I'm too shy. I, don't like to say that I've got something. But like Gurudev said, Das Goswami, on the one hand, we say we've not got anything, but we don't want to decry or diminish the prestige of our guru in any way. So we can't deny that we did receive something, and we shall extend that to others. But here comes the important part. Oh, Dar Jalila Dandavat. So when Guru Maharaj said that, so he said, it is your duty to extend what you've received to others, right? That's how it's a debt that cannot be repaid. We're told one word from Guru. If you gave the 3 worlds as pranami, it would not repay that debt. But this is how we attempt to repay the debt, is by extending what's been given to us to others. But then Guru Maharaj added to that, this part. He said, and not anything less than was given to you. That part we have to think about more. Not anything less than has been given to you. Not just something, but nothing less than that was given to you. Jai Brajasundari Didi in Israel. So I'm just reminded, and I know you're all doing that. Some of you are, leaders in centers, and of course, but every devotee. And so we consider it, an honor and a privilege to attempt to represent Srila Guru Maharaj's Susiddhanta and Srila Gurudev's affectionate heart. But I know, I just want to say, I recognize that you're all doing that as well, and thereby extending it's like the tree, or I'm saying lotus, but of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, that it continues to be nourished and grown and developed all over the world. Hare Krishna. Jai Ananda Swarup Prabhu, Anindita Devi Dasi, and the Tonks devotees, Tomsk in Siberia, Rupa Vilas Prabhu, Dandavat. So my Dandavats to one and all. Jai Praneshwari Devi. Vancha Kalpatrivascha Kripa Sindhaveva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
And all the assembled Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Worldwide Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi.
Jai Shri Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai.
Don't disturb the environment. Until tomorrow, we'll see you all tomorrow. We'll be together tomorrow. Get good prasadam, good rest. Tomorrow we'll go for another short but intense parikrama. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.